the final installment on the masculine and feminine teachings that I have started around July, and I've just been focusing on it strictly for the whole of August, touching on both feminine and masculine. But since August is a Women's Month in South Africa, I did lean in a bit heavy on the feminine energies, but I think I did a fairly balanced job where I spoke also about masculinity. And I just want to say to you guys that what I have shared so far, in as much as it is a lot for some people, it is the tip of the iceberg. It is like surface work around the subject of masculinity and femininity. I go way deeper because it can go really deep. And in my classes, I also go way deep. If you want to come for coaching on such matters, I am getting a lot of women who are stuck in their masculinity, which is, the topic for today, really, just to balance that out. But I get a lot of women who are struggling to soften, to get into their femininity as my clients lately. And it makes a lot of sense because it is time. We have been carrying the masculine energy and identifying with it for far too long, longer than necessary, which is why we're seeing so many burnout, which is why we're seeing so many resignation from women, which is why we see a lot of women just really ending up at vistas and mental illness, rising amongst us women, depression, anxiety, and just malfunction in alcohol abuse. A lot of women are slipping into addiction, alcoholism, and all that. And I'm not going to paint everything with one brush and say it's because of the masculine energy we are carrying, but it is a large part of it. It's a big part of it, particularly when you start doing coaching and healing work and really understanding this. You will find that, oh, it's because actually you have no escape. You are out of balance. There is no feminine energy that balances you out. And feminine energy and masculine energy lives in both of us. Again, another broken record here. So we both carry the energies. But because of our conditioning and of the environment we live in, as women, we've had to be in our masculine. Some of us from as young as, from childhood. From childhood, we were, especially our generation, people were born in the 70s and 80s, and I think the 90s, we were encouraged to be independent. Independence is masculine. We're encouraged to be go-getters, to not rely on a man, to not be found in the damsel in distress scenario, to stand up for yourself, so we were masculinized from the get-go. Over and above that, or furthermore, this email language, furthermore, most of us have seen our mothers embody a masculine energy. Most of us were raised by single mothers. And I say most of us, I'm including myself in solidarity. I come from a mother and a father household. However, even in that scenario, I saw my mom taking up more of the lead, more of the provision, my mom, and more than my dad. And more, the more I'm doing this work, the more I'm coaching women, the more I'm hearing a lot of stories. It seems like this comes from far. This thing of women providing for men or being the main providers in their home, earning slightly more, it actually comes way back with our mother's generation. Maybe not the grandmother's generation, but our mother's generation had to always just carry the brunt of provision and even protecting far more than we realize. So it doesn't start with us. So a lot of us have had to actually watch our mothers become the providers, become the protectors, become the leaders, become the logical head, become the structure creator, and also trying to nurture us as well, which was just really an unfair, an overload of a nervous system, an overload of a body that was created to actually embody a soft, an intuitive, and embodied a slower, a more, yeah, more softer, more nurturing energy, which is the energy of the feminine. And now we are sitting here, half of us don't know even what that means. It was also demonized, by the way, the femininity. It was demonized, you can't be soft. It was also unsafe, to come out, to be in your feminine. And again, in one of the videos, I did mention that femininity requires safety. If there is no safe masculine, there can be a man in the house, but if he is not in his masculine, if he is in his wounded masculine, or in worse still, in his infantile, he's become a child, the feminine within can never, she will never come out. So you will remain in the masculine. But that is no longer sustainable, my sisters. And we know that. I know it. You know it listening to me now. We know it. It's no longer sustainable. It's almost like we are wearing, in one of the videos, I mentioned that masculinity is a suit that you borrow. You borrow when you need to wear it and you have to take it off. Now, when do you borrow masculinity? When do you have to wear masculinity? We have to borrow masculinity. And I want to insist on the word borrow because once we get used to that, then we will create awareness. You will know how to switch. You will know how to switch from masculine to feminine, switch from which is something that I do. I think I'm getting better and better at it. I'm still not 100% there. I still struggle with rest. Yes, me, believe it or not. Rest is still such a hard thing to get into, but I have mastered slowing down. I have mastered getting into the body, but a full-on rest mode. Yeah, no, oh, shame, because I've been in the masculine for this long, and I've been in the masculine hyper because I've been an entrepreneur, self-employed person for a very long time. Being a self-employed person puts you right there in masculine vibe. You are in the masculine almost 24/7 because your mind is always racing. You're always thinking of the next thing. You're always thinking of the next invoice, the next deal, the next that. And when I moved into the coaching healing space, it got a little bit better, but it's still self-employment and it's still entrepreneurial, which is still masculine energy. So a big chunk of my life is lived in the masculine. I could say if I can divide a day up, I would say 60% I'm in my masculine and then 40 I then slip into my feminine. And for me to get into my feminine, I need to be very, very conscious. I mentioned in one of the videos that, while you borrow masculinity, femininity, you must embrace it. You have to surrender to it almost. It doesn't happen like that. You don't grab it and say, now I'm in my feminine. You don't run a bubble bath and say, okay, now I'm in my feminine. It is from inside out. So that's why the other day I said to you, you need to start with slowing down, deliberately being slow. Now I realize that I actually have been talking and talking without looking at my notes, and I wanted to go step by step. I wanted to remind us, I wanted to do a recap of why is it that we are stuck in our masculine, and I think I've sort of touched on that. I wanted to then say why is it why is it that we are stuck in our masculine? I also wanted to touch on the reasons or the benefits rather of being in the masculine. When do we get into the masculine and the benefits of that, and then how to balance that out and get into your feminine, even if you are a single mother who has to do everything, who has to do the providing, the protecting, the structure setting, the logic, and how then do you get into your masculine. Let me look at my notes so that I can be slightly coherent and then give you something really of value, especially as we conclude this subject, because from September, we are getting into a different topic. Or maybe not. Maybe we are deepening. I don't know. I'll see what Spirit wants me to do. I did promise that I will read my memoir, but yeah, let me just check my notes and then come back with some of the pointers I want to make around this topic. But just to recap, guys, just to recap so that we don't feel bad that we are in our masculine. We are in our masculine because we need to be. Like our mothers, a lot of Black South African women are single mothers, which means you are the one that is providing for your children, you are protecting your children, you are putting structure in your home for your children, you are the mind of the home, and that leaves very little time for you to do the nurturing role, which is why a lot of single mothers who are working, particularly the professionals, the executives, some people who are entrepreneurs who are really climbing the ladder and really embracing this provision role. That is why really you need auntie. That is why Aus Maria Remunida, because Aus Maria, when you walk from your work, when you come into your home, Aus Maria has played the feminine role. Aus Maria has looked after your children, has cleaned your home, has cooked for you, has made the place soft. So you then can rest. But what we don't do, or what we forget to do, is that we forget to take off the masculine. So it's almost like, imagine the masculine suit being the armor suit. Like I'm thinking of those Middle Ages armor, the steel ones. And imagine having to wear that from age 15, and society has told you that this is what you need. You need to go to war, you need to fight, you need to provide, you need to protect, you need to do this. And you grow up like that. And then at your late 30s, early 40s, 50s, now we're telling you to soften. We're telling you to get into your feminine. How in the hell are you going to do that? I am a life coach and a teacher, and I'm in the healing space, and I am struggling with it. Like I just said earlier, that rest is still a very, very hard thing for me to do, but it gets better all the time. One thing, like I said about femininity, it requires awareness. You want to be first and foremost aware. You want to be aware that I'm in my masculine. I'm still in my masculine. How then do I? And the moment you see it, it is almost like the feminine herself is making you see that, because you won't see it otherwise. That's why a lot of women, especially when you find these women who's like, yeah, no, it doesn't make sense. I want things that make sense to me. When you talk like that, you are so entrenched in your masculine, it is not even funny. Because femininity is not about making sense. Not 1+1 is 2. Femininity says 1+1 can easily be 100, or 1+1 can be 3, because there's an intuition that knows deeper. And I'm not saying intuition is better than logic. None is better than the other, but it is a different way. It's a different embodiment, and only the feminine brings that forth. And when you are a mother, you need that intuition so that you can see through your children. You can see you needed this and this, especially if you have more than one child. There are different ways of parenting your children. And that does not require masculinity. Masculinity is motivating, go for it, run. I need anything extra. While femininity needs you to look at your child and recognize, oh no, this one does not need another PlayStation or another gift. This one needs a really, really long hug and a one-on-one. This one needs quality time with me. We need to sit and maybe cook together, or we need to sit, I need to listen to this one. Or this one maybe needs a bit of space, like I got. So that comes from the feminine. And as women, we need to step into the feminine for those roles, so that we are not just providing, protecting, structure giving, house giving, because we don't even build the homes. The people who build the homes are Aus Maria, Aus Pinky, especially for those who have live-in nannies. Those are the homemakers, because we are stuck in we are the man, we are the masculine. So that's why we need to remember home, because the masculine is the armor, it's the suit, but the feminine is the skin. It is where you live, it is your home. And we need to find our way home. Now, I don't want to prolong this video, because if I continue, it's going to go a little bit over. So let's rather do this. Let's do the next video where I am sharing with you how do you begin creating some form of rituals of stepping into your feminine. And then we can conclude this subject for real now. Because last week's video, I said it was the last one. For real now, we can conclude the feminine and masculine energy. So let's do the next video. We might actually have 3 parts, because I want to also talk about the men stepping into their feminine. But let's see, don't hold me to that. Let's do the next video shortly, just now. It is actually uploaded. If you're watching on YouTube, the next video is probably already uploaded, part 2 of this. Okay, next video.